y'all ready to head off the trails? I'm the Cryptid Huntress, Jessica Jones, and I'm ready to take you on an incredible, mysterious journey right now. We welcome you to Off the Trails right here on the Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel. If you guys haven't hit subscribe yet, please do. We would love to have y'all. And shout out to Bumblefoot for that amazing intro music. I super appreciate it. You guys, please follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. You guys can find me at thecryptidhuntress.com, and please subscribe to my awesome YouTube channel, The Cryptid Huntress. Visit my shop, War Woman Goods, and if you guys want to support what I do here at Spaced Out Radio and everywhere else, you guys can join my Patreon. It's at The Cryptid Huntress, and also y'all go visit my shop, War Woman Goods. I sold a vintage Native American turquoise jewelry and a bunch of other really cool stuff. You can find that on Etsy and on my website. All right, y'all. I have a fantastic guest here tonight. I have Shane Grove here in the studio. Don't forget that right after this show, After Hours has an amazing program set up for us. So y'all go check that out. All right, let's get to our guest. Shane Grove is the host of From the Shadows podcast, a lifelong paranormal enthusiast. Shane has conducted over 300 interviews with experts and eyewitnesses in an attempt to find answers. Shane has also been a guest on numerous podcasts, radio shows, documentaries, and television programs discussing the paranormal. Shane is an Ohio-based songwriter, and even though he doesn't live in Nashville, it hasn't stopped him from collaborating with some of the greatest songwriters. He says it's a wonderful journey of making new friends and new music. So help me welcome my new friend, Shane Grove, to Spaced Out Radio tonight. All right. What's up, Shane?
Hey, what's happening, Jessica? Just hanging out backstage with the pod babies.
The pod babies.
The pod babies. And I got to say, I dig that intro music that you had, too. I kept waiting. It was kind of Queen and Freddie Mercury-esque.
It is. That's Bumblefoot.
All right. Yeah. Way to go, Bumblefoot. I like it.
Yeah, Bumblefoot, you got to check him out, man. It's a SOR original right there. We love that. We love Bumblefoot here at Space Out Radio. He's like our musical mascot.
Excuse me.
And you know a little something about music. You're a songwriter. I have heard several of your songs online. I've been following you on Instagram for a while. So.
Excuse me.
All right, don't get choked up. I know. I'm. It's a lot to take in with the pod people. Right before we started tonight, I told you all about the pod people. So,
excuse me, man. I'm sorry. I got a little something in my throat.
You got a little choked up because of the pod people, I'm sure.
Yes. No. Yeah. We've been friends on Instagram for quite a while.
We have. Yeah. I mean, I've watched you through your acting stuff. Like you're actually an actor, songwriter.
Excuse me. Golly. I don't know what's going on here. But yeah,
it's okay. Take your time.
the acting comment has kind of got me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's a very loose interpretation of the word acting.
Okay.
If you're gonna call me an actor.
I thought you're an actor. You're an actor. You're in shows and stuff. I mean, even being you're a podcaster. Like you have an amazing podcast, Shane. I love podcasts, and so you actually cover all the bases on your podcast. You're kind of like like here at Space Out Radio on my show. I really focus on cryptids. Right. But I pretty much try to cover all the bases. But you and I share a vested interest in Bigfoot. Okay. And I've noticed a lot of your shows do have to deal with Bigfoot.
Well, yeah, we, aside from pandering to our audience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pandering.
Pandering. Well, I mean, I'll have, it's no secret that, the fans love Bigfoot. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, they just do, and we get a lot of. I get a lot of people that contact me through email or on Instagram or whatever with a Bigfoot story. It seems to be the most popular thing for people to listen to. For some reason, people are super fascinated with Bigfoot. I mean,
yes.
and we enjoy
yeah.
talking about it. We've kind of had a couple of experiences, me and the other guys on the show, where we've been out. We don't make a practice of this. We don't make a practice of going ghost hunting or Bigfoot hunting or anything. We're just enthusiasts, like it says in my bio. Like it says in my bio. So we leave the real boots on the ground research to the people who can really spend the time to go out there and do it properly. Now I've been taken out a couple times, and
you've been initiated.
I've been initiated by the great Amy Boo, and I don't know how many people are familiar with Amy Boo, but here in Ohio, she's a very well-known Bigfoot researcher. She does some stuff with the Olympic Project out in Washington. Yeah,
absolutely. And we know that. We know what that is.
So Amy, so we kind of went out on a little Bigfoot excursion with her, and didn't expect to see anything, and unfortunately we saw some stuff. We experienced some stuff. So
did you say unfortunately?
Well, because it wasn't the plan. It wasn't, like I said, I'm not going out there like Elmer Fudd hunting for rabbits, hunting for Bigfoot. Is that reference too old for most of your viewers?
No, I know what you're talking about. I know. I'm probably older than you are, Shane. Okay.
Don't say that.
I'm not telling you how old I am, but I'm probably older than you. Okay, I'm just gonna say.
You're probably 10 years younger than me, so
probably
I'll just tell you that. but no. So all the guys that are involved in the podcast, except for the Ozark Howler, he has never had a paranormal experience that he'll claim to, but the rest of us have all had different experiences. So we're so open-minded to talk to people and hear their experiences, because I just don't think you can't rule anything out. I mean, you're out there doing research, real intense research, and our hats are off to the people like you that are out there doing that. I mean, that's the kind of the back. Yeah. I mean, it is. It's the backbone of if people like you and the groups that you're involved in weren't out there doing it, the people that are just guys with podcasts wouldn't have anybody to talk to. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you have people to talk to, but it's more fun when you got people that are actually out in the field doing the research. And that's kind of what I do with my shows. I like to bring people on who like my teammates, and which is really interesting because you have recently interviewed 2 of my teammates on your show. Actually 3 if you count me. So
and it was so. Now, of course, the first gentleman, he was somebody who planned on, and then he entered. Well, no, I had Terry. I had Terry on first from Rock Hill Bigfoot, and
Terry Wendell. Yes,
Terry Wendell, and then he introduced me to Trey. But then, like I said, you and I have been friends on social media and followed each other. I had no idea.
You and I go way back, even though we just met.
And until I started reading your stuff, and I'm like, no, wait a second. There's no way. There's 2 Skinwalker ranch type areas of the South, and so I kind of made the leap that you had to be connected with that.
You knew me. Hey, you knew me first. Me and you were friends first. I'm just going to say.
You played him much harder to get than Terry and Trey.
Well, that's my job. I'm a woman. I play hard to get when it comes to these interviews and stuff. Well, I don't really put it all out there, or I didn't really with a lot of that. So but neither did they, you know. But lately, this past year, we've really, it's kind of taken off a bit, and we're all out there, and I'm honestly, like, I try to bring all my team on my shows. I have multiple shows too, so I'm here
I
at
don't know.
Spaced Out
I don't.
Radio, but
I
I
don't
got
know.
other stuff going on too. So
I don't. I don't know how you keep up, but okay.
I just have fun. I'm out here just having fun. So that's how I keep up. I can't even keep up with myself, actually. I'm not gonna lie. But you know how it is. It's fun, and it's fun meeting people like you and other podcasters and people who are just enthusiastic about the paranormal. And what I really appreciate about you and your podcast is that you cover not only Bigfoot but ghosts and you know, Dogman to aliens and UFOs. And I gotta say, you live in Ohio, and that is one of the areas of the highest strangeness with such a variety of cryptids, Shane. And so I thought maybe we could talk about some of those cryptids you got up there tonight, if you
Well,
don't mind.
you're trying to freak me out, so I don't want to go to bed. I can't go to bed tonight. I mean, I don't.
Well,
It's scary enough up here just knowing that this stuff is
right.
happening. But yeah,
Well, I
so
mean,
yeah. I mean, we found that out as people discover that we're based in Ohio, then more and
yeah.
more people from Ohio come to us, and we've heard some crazy, like I said, we've heard some crazy stuff that we didn't expect for sure, you know. And like I
Okay.
said, one of our if there are people that have tuned in that are listeners of our show, one of our the guy that kind of co-founded the podcast with me, that we call him the judge because he is an actual judge here where we live,
Oh,
in a
really?
one of he's been one of my best
Judicial?
friends.
Hobby. Okay.
Yes.
That's a
Him
good
and his
person to know.
him and his well, it depends on the day. Him and his
I know,
brothers,
right?
him and his brother are are the judges here, and he had a Dogman experience when we were in high school, and did not know how to categorize what it was he saw. Okay, and so it was
A
one of
lot of
these.
people don't. I wouldn't know if I saw one right
Well,
off the bat.
yeah, yeah, and we're talking like, you know, we were in high school in the '80s. Okay, so like I said,
Mhm.
we're old, and so what he
Okay, you
saw, he
might be a
had
little
no.
bit older than me. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
say
I know. Thanks for rubbing that in. So he had no
I
frame
was
of.
wrong. Just a few years.
So, so he had no frame of reference for what he saw in his experience, and kind of lived with that experience up until probably 3 or 4 years ago, until he discovered Linda Gottfried in some of her books,
Oh yeah, Bray
and
Beast of Bray Road.
yeah, and
Absolutely.
that kind of dialed it in what he had experienced, and when he finally figured it out, and I knew the story that, you know, but he had never really came out and said what he had seen because he didn't want to be
Okay.
thought of as didn't want us to think he was crazy. Okay,
Right.
and
Like the rest of us. Yes.
yeah, like the rest of us. And so he went on a couple shows. He went on Shannon LeGros show,
Okay.
Into the Fray, and
Oh yeah. Okay.
and, and they
I
did
know
another
that one.
one. Yeah, and once he did those, he kind of said, "Hey, what do we like talking about this stuff? Let's do our own show." And he goes, because his thought was, if I'm a judge, I got to get reelected every 6 years. If I can come forward and tell my story, he goes, then everybody should be able to tell their story. And
I
so
like that.
through that, and by the way, his brother thought he was absolutely crazy. Said, "You are, I can't believe you're telling this. I can't believe you're
Yeah.
going to let yourself be known as this
You're never
guy
gonna
who,
get elected, brother. I'm sure
yeah."
that's what he was
And
thinking.
then, oh yeah, and in the meantime, it's not. You know, we live in the same area we grew up in, so nobody has even looked at us sideways that we've got this pot. I mean, it's the kind of the opposite effect. We hear more stories now from the community, like, hey, I know, like, in fact, today, somebody that I've known, I went to school with, I saw her, and she started telling me about a Bigfoot story of her family had down in like Kentucky. And I'm like, okay, I need to talk to your family and let's hear this story. Um, so yeah, it's kind of, and some of the people listening might have seen, we were on the, so we told that story, the Dogman story on Seth Breedlove's American Werewolves documentary that came out this summer. Yeah, the judge and I were on there. So
nice.
So
wait, so there's a difference between werewolves and Dogman, though, right? Isn't there a difference between Dogman and werewolves?
Supposedly, but the more
tomato.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of in the camp that we're not saying it can't happen, but we're kind of in the camp of it's probably unlikely that a person actually changes into a wolf and goes running around. We don't really subscribe to that as much as we think that like Dogman is more or less either it's an interdimensional, it's something that I don't think is here all the time, but when it's in our presence, it comes to us as a physical form. That's how we experience it. And then whether it comes from another dimension through one of the portals that you've got down there in the Skinwalker Ranch of the South, or
the meadow,
the meadow, or we had a very interesting conversation with Linda Gottfried early on when we had the podcast, and she kind of threw out a theory to us that she had been investigating, was that if you took a map of all the Dogman events that they had up there near Bray Road, and overlaid
there's
it
a bunch
with,
of them.
and if you laid it over with Indian burial mounds, or Indian burial grounds or mounds, whichever. We have mounds here in Ohio.
Both.
That they almost, it was like where there was one, there was the other.
Yeah.
Okay. And it really kind of blew our minds. We're like, what? So she was kind of tying into the thought, because the experience the judge had, it looked like the Egyptian god Anubis, which is the god of the dead or whatever, and
the god of the underworld.
God of the underworld, yeah. Yes. And so what she kind of had concluded, that it was something that maybe Native Americans had, I don't know how to say, it was something that they, in their spiritual nature or journey, had either were part of the first people that used those in their worship, and they guarded their burial mounds. Okay. And so
that would make sense. Okay.
And so what the judge did then was he did a search for Indian bear. Now you got to remember where he experiences that. He grew up. He lived around the corner from it because he was out on a jog one night. Okay. When we were in high school, and we went to school like a mile away in the elementary school. And he calls me up and he goes, "You're never going to believe what I just found." He goes, "Check your text messages." And here was an Indian burial mound map for Ohio that had 2 Indian burial mounds in the field about 200-300 yards apart, right where he had been jogging. And we never even, so what they were like back in farmers' fields. And we never even, it totally blew us away and opened our mind to the fact that, there may be something to that, So.
Yeah, definitely. And I got to tell you, there's several stories okay, that I have looked into and I've done shows on, where there are dogmen seen, or some people say werewolves, but I think there were actually dogman stories where the dogmen were digging into Indian burial mounds, digging
Hmm.
into
Yeah.
them, which is really
Yeah.
odd. Protectors, why would they be digging into them? But
I
who knows?
maybe there's treats buried there. I don't know.
A squeaky toy, right? The
Oh
rawhide.
God.
The rawide's
Yeah,
in there.
exactly. Exactly. So like that was just one instance where stuff kind of fell together and was just a little too uh I don't want to say there's coincidences. It's everything seems to be, and it just kind of fell together. And it's like, okay, well, if nothing else, if we get nothing else out of doing this podcast, then we kind of got some answers for the judge, and for some stuff that
Okay.
we had been wondering, and so, like I
Yeah.
said, but it has opened us up to getting a lot more reports from Ohio, and not that we love them from everywhere, okay, but it is kind of cool in your backyard to have
It's
frame of
cool.
reference for stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool until you get a report like in November of 2022 last year of a man in Ohio. I think it was in southern Ohio. There was a report in the news of a man whose horse was mutilated. And I believe he went to go check on his horse in his barn. And I covered this when I was talking with Nick Valente. He's one of the directors of the North American Dogman Project.
Hmm.
And he was telling me that a man went to go, his horse was missing, and he went looking for it, and it was behind his barn. He found his dead horse. It was decapitated with its head like stuck on a fence post, and it was suspected that a dog man had done that. Okay, because it was like ripped to pieces. Okay,
so do
so
so do you have horses?
I've
Do you
had
have
horses
horses?
in the past, not right this minute I don't, but
Okay.
I did when I was a
Yeah.
kid.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say because we own horses, and
Okay.
for something to be able to do that,
Yeah.
that would be, I can't comprehend what running around here in Ohio that you
Yeah.
would be able to do that. Like even a person,
Even a
um,
person, it'd be deranged to do that
yeah,
to any
yeah.
kind
I
of
mean,
animal.
it would take a chainsaw. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and
Well, I mean,
yes.
I've never disassembled a body, but I would assume it would probably take a chainsaw.
I, well,
Have you? I'm just kidding, Shane.
listen,
Yeah,
is anybody watching? Because I can't
I
answer
don't
for
know.
this
Do you think that they'll
without
know?
without the judge here to
I
to
know. Where's the judge?
legally
You got the
direct it.
judge on your side. It's okay.
Right, right.
Oh
But
my
no,
gosh. Yeah, no, it is.
that's a crazy story. I mean, and
It is.
uh, yeah,
And I got to tell you, Nick
because
actually thinks that it was not a dog man. He was convinced it was a mentally insane person did that, probably is what he thought. He actually was he was actually suspicious that maybe like the owners had done it for, but I just don't think so, because people who have horses, they're like family. So I couldn't imagine anybody doing that to their own animals. So
even when I'm ankle deep in a stall cleaning it out, I still don't want to do that to a horse. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely
And it's
not. Well, see, but not everybody is like you, Shane, and not everybody's like we sometimes when you get into the head of a criminal, or someone who's like a serial killer, they're not like normal humans. So you never know. You never know. There could always be an explanation to a lot of these mutilations and things that we blame on cryptids, like Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Dogman, and I'm sure you've heard plenty of
exactly,
these
yeah.
stories, considering you have your podcast. I would assume you heard plenty of stories like that.
Yeah, I can say I haven't had a lot of people like with the mutilations and stuff,
Hmm.
but which would really be disturbing. That would I gotta say that would be disturbing to hear a lot of that, to hear a lot of the stuff. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's um, there is some famous dogman sightings in Ohio. I mean, they have a it's up around Defiance. There was a Dogman, like I think in the early 70s, there was some Dogman sightings, which I believe they have like a Dogman. I don't want to say festival. That makes it sound, like it's fun. But
it's so fun. It is fun. Hey, I'm about to be at a festival in Ohio in a couple of months, by the way.
For the Frogman, right?
It's for the Frogman. Yeah.
For the Frogman.
I'm
Yeah.
excited about that.
Yeah, Loveland's not too far away. And
nice.
That's another...
Well, I'm going to be in Mason. I don't know where that is in relation to Loveland, but
Mason. Well, Loveland is where the original Frogman was. Now Mason is down around Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
I guess so.
What is the frog? What's the tie-in for Mason and the Frogman? Is there Frogman sightings?
It's at the Wolf Creek Lodge. That's all I know. I'm not sure. I have the people who are throwing it had it there. I guess it's just a good venue. So I'm not sure. I would just ask.
That's a water park. So maybe if they're hoping the Frogman shows up, they'll feel
amphibious.
like you feel like
it's an amphibious setting. I like that.
Yeah, but an incident like that,
yes,
is
amphibious.
So what did those people? Yeah, what did those people see? At Loveland or whatever, or even at the Great Wolf Lodge, what did they see when it came to?
I do know what they saw. I actually remote viewed the Loveland Frogman chain.
That's right. That's right.
I've talked to you about my remote viewing, and I do a remote viewing show, and I remote viewed the Loveland Frogman. Okay. And I did a show. I believe it was me and Tex from Texas Front Porch did a show on that. And I swear to God, at the end of that show, I closed my folder and I said, okay, I don't ever want to talk about this again. This is so weird. I was like, I'm done, case closed, put the folder away. And then I get asked to do another show on the Loveland Frogman. And now I'm speaking at the Loveland Frogman Festival. After I swore that off, I would never talk about them again. But I'm excited to do it. But it was such a weird thing. It was so odd.
So what did you see?
They were time traveling frogs. I know.
Okay. Where were they traveling from?
They were actually part of a program that had to do with the Montauk Project, which actually was back in the 1980s, the 70s and the 80s, and these frogmen were seen back in the 50s, but it was part of some kind of interdimensional like time traveling program, and it was so crazy for me to even talk about that live on air that I literally did. I shut the folder and I said, okay, I'm done. I'm wiping my hands of the Loveland Frogman. This was almost embarrassing. But now I'm like, I'm being asked to talk about this all over the country. Let me ask you, when you go and talk about the Loveland Frogman, is this something that then you bring up the remote viewing and the tie-in? Yes, I will be talking about that.
Okay.
Yes, I will, because that's the only connection that I have to it. And I was actually asked by people who are very knowledgeable on the Loveland Frogman. They're the ones that asked me to come talk about it. And so, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. My data is my data. It's very odd. However, all cryptids are pretty odd when it comes down to it. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about the Loveland Frogman again. I mean, one of the frogs had a magic wand. Okay. And it shot sparks. And that's what the eyewitnesses saw with it. And so I looked into all of that. And it's one of the weirder cryptids that I've ever looked into.
Yeah. By the way, one of our, I'm looking at the live chat. Here's somebody that can remote view too. It's called using a remote and watching TV. Oh, come on, man. That's
watching TV.
Where's the drum?
Oh, I see that one. Okay. Yes. Yes. Remote viewing comes in many forms, but I've actually been trained in actual remote viewing. So yes, but anybody can remote view from their couch, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Although I'm not, I mean, I think the stuff you're remote viewing is far more entertaining than a lot of the stuff that I've got on TV.
Okay, absolutely. Well, I don't watch TV anymore. There's no need, because the TV is where the pod people get their programming. Okay.
Yes, you were telling me that. So
That was from last night's show.
I know,
Yes.
I know. I've got to check that out. I've got to check that out.
Yeah, you need to. You need everybody needs to check that show out. That was pretty mind blowing, actually. And yes, there. Hey, I have people in the audience. Thank you, James. Yes, people do remember my Frogman show. It's a good one. I didn't laugh. I laughed. Listen, if I'm not laughing, I'm crying. Okay, so
Well,
some of these shows, I tell you what.
The thing is and people make jokes. I can remote view from the couch, but the thing is I've talked to so many people on and off the air that have unique abilities, unique experiences, that have stuff that we don't even put on the air because they just want to talk about it. And I don't look at anything sideways, because like I said, we've all had our experiences, the guys in the podcast, and so I'm super open. And I've talked to some people that have when it comes to the remote viewing and the oh gosh, just like going other places, in time, as far as like in seeing things and talking to loved ones and stuff. Because and the more I hear, the more I'm like, okay, this all sounds totally like legit, because I truly believe most people don't use their minds I think it's scientifically proven. We use
most people don't use their minds, period. I'm just kidding.
Well, I know,
including me half the time. Okay.
But it goes right back to watching television. Okay.
Yes.
Is if you're sitting there just watching what's getting fed to you, okay, no matter how entertaining the television show is, you're not really thinking for yourself. You're not expanding your mind. You're not using it to
programmed.
Yeah. In a manner of speaking. And I think you can. I think you can just broaden your horizons and the capabilities of your mind to heights that we can't even imagine. It's hard. Just like we talk about songwriting. It's hard for some people to. Not everybody can do that. Okay, and I can't play music, but not everybody could take a piece of paper and meter stuff out in their head and have it come out
sheet
something.
Music. Yeah.
It's and those are just all forms of expanding your mind. I think everybody could do it. It's just a matter of the training that it takes. And,
that's with remote viewing. Everybody is psychic, Shane. Okay, everybody's psychic. Anyone can remote view, but it just takes time to learn it and to be able to write everything down and learn the process of it. But anybody can do it.
But there's too much good stuff on TV. There's too much good stuff on TV to watch. To learn how to remote view.
Bread and circuses, right? That's all we need. Give them, let them eat cake, and that's kind of where I am today, is trying to just I'm putting all this out there with my remote viewing. It's embarrassing, Shane. Like, a lot of people, I've gotten a lot of pushback when I go on other people's shows talking about remote viewing, because a lot of people they're not ready for it. Okay. And I'm the crazy remote viewing lady, apparently. So, I've also been training in it for many, many years. And it's a very scientific method of psychically locating targets. And I was taught by the best, so I love doing it. It's for fun. I only do it for fun. And it's very effective when it comes down to this paranormal stuff that we're looking into. And I think that if people aren't very open to it, it's okay. However,
Yeah.
why would you not be open to something when you're searching for answers for stuff in the paranormal world? You know, like why wouldn't you be open to it?
Exactly. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of answers still to, you know, a lot of answers to be found. That's for sure. You know,
Yeah.
and I think it just, and it's not, I don't like to, like I said, I don't like to tell somebody that they're crazy or they're not really, they're full of crap or whatever, because I think that there's so much stuff that we don't understand. And like I said, I hear from so many people, I talk to so many people and have met so many people that they do have some amazing abilities. And who am I to say that, oh, you're not really doing that? That's just being closed-minded, and I'm taking part in the programming, so to speak. You know,
The
I
programming.
mean, the
Yes,
program.
now we
The
welcome you
program.
back to your regularly scheduled programming. Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
We are
exactly.
yes, well I enjoy having that tool in my tool belt, you know, with the remote viewing or whatever. And it's fun. And I've had some really interesting guests on my shows in the past. One who lived in Ohio, Shane, who was a former lead scientist at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. I don't
Oh,
know how
really?
close you live to that place, but Raymond Samansky, yeah, he came on my show.
A couple hours away, yeah, from Dayton.
Okay, and he and I talked about, and he's got some inside information. Allegedly, that's where the bodies from the Roswell crash were taken. So
Yep.
have you looked into that for your podcast?
Uh, I've talked to some people, and that we had a gentleman on whose grandfather was a civilian contractor that his, you know, at Wright Patterson Airport, and who was there. Supposedly, this is what he tells, that was there when a spacecraft that had crashed. It wasn't the ones at Roswell. It was one somewhere else had crashed and got brought in
Okay.
on a truck and was being unloaded. And they had cleared the base because there's people that live on base and just off base and regular, and they had cleared the base. And
Okay.
he was he was driving one of the um, I don't know the ranks in the Air Force, but he was driving one of those gentlemen, and that's why he didn't get cleared off the base. But he had to sign paperwork and say that he wasn't going to say anything.
His
So
NDAs, right?
exactly, and in fact, I had an old football coach that told me, and this is when I was a kid telling me the story. It's not like he told me because of the podcast, but he told me this as a kid because I was interested, growing up and all this stuff. And I heard the stories that, the infamous Hangar 18,
Yes.
that's where this is supposed to be. And
Allegedly.
he was very high up in the Air National Guard. Okay. And
Okay.
so they could, like a military bases, if you can go, like they have stores there, you can go buy stuff, I guess with no tax or whatever it was back then. And so every time he was near a military base and they needed something, he'd go onto the base and visit and stuff. And he said there was a building back then in the 70s and 80s that was under armed guard. And even though he outranked the people standing guard, he asked, "Hey, can I go in?" And they're like, "Nope, you cannot. Sorry, sir, you can't go in."
You can
And
go in, but we have to kill you.
Yeah, he could. He was never allowed to go in, and he goes, you just kind of figured that there was something there. He goes, I have no idea. He goes, I'm not going to tell you that it was aliens, but he goes, I don't know a lot of things that back then were under armed guard. That a person of my rank couldn't go in and check out. So
Hmm.
so hearing that stuff, you're like, Okay. And then with this, the beginning of disclosure from the government, there's something there, and there's a lot. We do get a lot of UFO reports or just weird lights and stuff from that area, from Southern Ohio. That's close to there. And but at the same point, they're also testing different aircraft too that are top secret. So not everything's something being driven by gray aliens or little green men or whatever. So
I think that we've actually gotten a lot of the UFOs that we see are probably our military, probably reverse engineered stuff. I mean, who knows? But with all the UFO sightings and everything, who knows? Mm-hmm. Who knows? My specialty is more Bigfoot than aliens. But when I'm out in the field doing Bigfoot field research, oftentimes we do have UFOs flying above our heads, and we have orbs. What are orbs? Orbs could be aliens. Who knows? I don't know. I had an orb in my house the night before last floating around. I caught it on my camera inside my house.
Was there a Bigfoot inside the house then too?
I didn't see a Bigfoot. It would have showed up on my camera probably. But yeah, I just got the orb. I'm not going to show it publicly because then you can see what the heck the inside of my house looks like. And I don't want anybody knowing. It's a mess. I'm just kidding.
Now, would you be able to remote view the inside of an orb?
Yes, I have remote viewed the orbs before, actually. Yes, I have a whole show on that. Yeah, yes, I remote viewed the orbs that have been spotted over crop circles as crop circles are being made, and it was very interesting information because there are different types of crop circles and there are different orbs that make the crop circles. The actual real crop circles.
Are crop circles even a thing anymore? I haven't really heard. Just
Absolutely.
nobody. I couldn't tell you the last time I heard a report on a crop circle.
Yes, there's still crop circles. Yes. So, yeah. What was I thinking about when the orb was around? I was asleep, so I wasn't thinking. I was dreaming. Yes, but with the orbs, actually, what I remote viewed is a lot of times there's a duality to a lot of the stuff that we have in the paranormal realm even today, and with the orbs that we're seeing over the crop circles, and I remote viewed specific orbs, okay, and there were certain orbs that actually were like the first crop circles that were made that were actually real crop circles. Those actually came from a higher source, and they were actually giving us messages for humanity. Okay. And then there's some other orbs that basically it had been, what do you call it? It was like something had been taken, like something so pure had been taken. And there were like, it was almost like a reverse engineer of like an orb that makes crop circles with like messages for humanity. And there were orbs that were making crop circles that were giving like the opposite, it was the opposite of the pure intention.
There was dueling.
Yes, it was a duality to it. Yeah, like Masonic images and things like that were being put out and all that kind of stuff. I'm not, it was, there was just a duality to it. And so I can't think of the word. I'm having a brain fart right now. But yeah, it was there were two different types of orbs that were put in. And then of course we have like the hoaxers that hoax the circles and stuff, but I wasn't remote viewing those. I was remote viewing the actual real orbs.
Being from a family of farmers,
okay.
Did this higher power not realize that farmers are not going to get the message to mankind?
But they did. Some of them did. Some of them got out.
My farm family would have been like, okay, where's the shotgun? Let's shoot.
Well, yeah, of course.
Let's choose it.
Listen, we stay strapped or get clapped sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So you got to, I think that it's intrusive to have drones flying over my farm. I have a farm. Okay. I grew up on a farm. I live out in the country. We've had drones flying over the farm. Of course, you want the first thought you have is grab the shotgun and shoot that thing down. Okay. Like, who is that? What are you doing here? And so orbs, yes, but a lot of times these orbs will work. They come out at night and you don't see them. So yes,
See,
it's
that's
interesting.
that's why I'm just an enthusiast and an investigator. I'm not out there.
Yeah.
I'm not out there at night with the orbs. I wouldn't even know what
I'm out there at night. Listen, if you ever need somebody to refer to on you just give me a holler, okay? Because I spend a lot of time out in the field. We do this remote viewing. You've met Terry. You've met Trey.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two of my teammates. Trey is actually trained just as much as I am in remote viewing. He's a remote viewer too, and so it helps. It helps with our research. I'm the one that went rogue, though, out of the whole team. I'm the one that started remote viewing some weird stuff and started making it public. Okay. And that's not like the rest of the team. So, but yes, thank you, Dumar. That's a very sweet comment. I appreciate that.
Wait a second. Is he talking about you or me?
He's talking about me. That's Dumar.
I was going to say, because he could be talking about our.
Well, I'm sure he likes your show too. I don't know. I'll talk to him. I'll call him after the show tonight. Okay. I know, dude. Okay. So, but yes, we, talking about the drones and stuff too. Like, yes, it is very intrusive, just like a lot of these cryptids are. Okay. We don't like strangers and weird things creeping on our property, especially if you have a farm, Shane, and you've got farm animals and stuff. You don't want Sasquatch taking your horses and, the witch knot stuff, about witch knots, that kind of stuff.
You mean are you talking about the stuff in the horse's hair? With the
let's don't go there.
I had a guest on.
We're not going there tonight, but yes.
I had a guest on from out in was it Washington or Northern California, who lived on a horse farm, and they had some Bigfoot activity. And she thought she just plainly said, "Look, anybody that thinks Bigfoot's messing with horses' hair is out of their mind." She goes, "There's no way."
Oh,
that's what she thought. And I said, "Well, I don't know. Some people, but then that was her opinion and her experience from where she's at with the horses she was at and the Bigfoot type creatures, And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I mean, I know I hate standing there messing with horses' hair to get them ready for shows. So I can't imagine the patience Bigfoot would have to
braid it and knot it up.
Oh,
yeah. Well, they have ulterior motive, Shane. I don't know. My friend Matthew Delph and I have discussed this, and Barry Littleton. Matthew is a good research friend of mine that goes out in the field with me. He's taken plenty of reports of the witch knots and stuff, and unfortunately, I think it's where these horses are getting kind of molested by Bigfoot and stuff. So, but yeah, it's, like I said, it's very intrusive. Yeah, it's very intrusive. We don't like anything coming onto our property. Is all I'm gonna say.
Coming onto our horses? I mean,
our property.
Coming onto our property.
Property.
Okay.
Property.
I'm sorry. Sorry, the show took a left turn.
It could take a left turn. Maybe we should change the subject. We have a few more minutes tonight. Let's talk about a few of the other things, the other cryptids have been spotted in Ohio. Okay, because we've got Mothman. Okay, Mothman's been seen in Ohio. We've got hold on, little people, skinwalkers. You actually also did a show. Now I don't know if this was in Ohio, but you did a show about a ghost that was a lumberjack. Okay. And I wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. You did a show about a lumberjack ghost. Okay. Now I got to tell you, I just did a show last week on my YouTube channel, The Cryptid Huntress, about Paul Bunyan. Okay. The most famous lumberjack of all. Okay. And I remote viewed the actual person behind that character, which ended up not being a person. It's a type 4 Sasquatch. Was Paul Bunyan. Yes, I have an entire show on that. And if you go to the Wisconsin Historical Society and you look at their type in Paul Bunyan, a picture of Paul Bunyan, they have a drawing from 1916, an artist rendition of what he actually looked like, and he's not a human.
Well, it's fun. So a couple things on Paul Bunyan, okay, and the lumberjack ghost. So as soon as we had that story on the lumberjack ghost, I got tons of comments and emails that Timothy, and I've been on Timothy Renner's show, Strange Familiars.
Oh
and
yeah, I've done a show with him. I love that guy.
He's doing a book
Yeah.
on, I guess, the lumberjack ghost.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Yes.
I have to get him on my show. I need to talk to him.
Yeah. And
okay.
because the lady that I talked to, 3 different people in her family over the years had been experiences with the lumberjack ghost. Okay, which was very odd. Yeah, 3 different people. And then you bring up Paul Bunyan, and you mentioned before that I was an actor, which was silly, but I was in a movie called Escape from Death Block 13 with a man named Chris Hahn, who played Paul Bunyan in one of the cheesiest but funnest horror movies of all time, Paul Bunyan Axe Murderer. So there you go. There's the tie-in to Paul Bunyan. My buddy is actually
I'm trying to pull this picture up. Yes.
Plays Paul Bunyan in Paul Bunyan Axe Murderer. Axe Giant. I'm sorry, Paul Bunyan Axe Giant.
Oh wait, when I was researching Paul Bunyan, I saw that movie, and it looks like I saw that, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Now I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna flash up on the screen a picture of Paul Bunyan. From this. This is actually a picture. I know that it's hard to tell what he looks like. That is an art. That is me doing a rendition. But yeah, it's something like that. Let's take it down. I don't want to get in trouble for showing that. That was my rendition of what that picture looked like from their website. But he definitely, it was more like when I remote viewed it, he was like a Neanderthal type of Sasquatch, type 4.
Which would make sense. But the funny thing is then Paul Bunyan Axe Giant, part of that was, the end of it was filmed around here where we live. But part of the end, part of the end of it was filmed at Charles Mill Lake outside of Mansfield, Ohio, which also has a cryptid that was seen, the Charles Mill Lake monster, I believe.
This guy.
50s. Is that it? Is that the chart? Yeah.
Yes, that's what he looks like.
So the end. So the end. Yes. So whoever's crazy enough to go watch Paul Bunyan Axe Giant at the end.
I've seen it. The pictures of that from the still shots from that show look pretty funky.
But at the end of the show, where they shoot Paul Bunyan, is at Charles Mill Lake, where that monster was seen. There you go.
A cryptid clash. It was a clash of the cryptids, huh?
Yeah, cryptid clash.
Oh my
gosh, that's what we call
a call.
That's a callback in the business. That's what we call a callback.
Oh my gosh, that is too funny. I mean, you guys do, Shane. You got to admit, y'all have some really crazy cryptids out of Ohio, and the stories are like they don't stop. Like anytime I talk to my friends at the North American Dogman Project, there's always a story coming out of Ohio. Also, I believe in Ohio, you guys had the dogman that dug into that cemetery plot. Have you heard about that?
I've seen, somebody sent me video of that, and I think if my memory serves me correctly, it was over around Akron, Ohio.
It was Akron, yes.
Does that sound right? Because when we had Jody Cook on, and we text back and forth every now and then. There was a big, an investigation that he was part of over there in some of the metro parks. What I think people don't understand is, like, from Cleveland to the Akron area, even though those are huge metropolitan areas, there's so much green space. So much green space there. And there's a ton of Bigfoot sightings and now a ton of Dogman sightings over in that area. And
wow.
So
a bunch of Indian mounds, probably because of the Indian mounds, right?
I am sure, and I'm sure that there's a lot that were displaced because we hear stories of that all the time, where graveyards for the progress, so to speak, in the 18 and early 1900s were just moved out of the way or built on top of. And that's not a good thing.
No,
that's
no. Here in Georgia, we've got some pretty gigantic lakes like Lake Lanier and Lake Altoona, where they were just big towns that were flooded and to make these big lakes. So, and it's amazing the number of drownings in both of those lakes that we have each year is outrageous. And I've gone swimming in both of them. I've gone boating in plenty of times, tubing, skiing, whatever. And there's just tree. People have no idea. There's like graveyards, churches, houses, all this stuff down there, and which makes it a haunted lake, right? So we have a lot of haunting things, a lot of haunted stuff down here in Georgia, just like you guys have up there.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's everywhere. To be honest,
it's everywhere. Of course, it's everywhere. I know. Well, I'm gonna have to bring you back on. I would love to talk with you more about this stuff. This hour has flown by, and so Shane, where can people find you and your podcast?
If you're interested in the podcast and all the shenanigans that we do on the podcast, you can find us anywhere at From the Shadows Podcast. You can find us on Facebook if you want to jump in on a forum or something. We have From the Shadows Podcast, and then After the Shadows is our forum on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at Shane Grove Author, and send me a message. Find us at our From the Shadows Podcast on Instagram. You can we got a website, FromTheShadowsPodcast.com. Send us an email or whatever. And like I said, the show, we have a paranormal show that comes out every Friday, and then we do a show in the middle of the week that's kind of a humorous show.
The Ozark Howler.
The Ozark Howler. And for people that don't know what they're getting into with that, the Ozark Howler is he's a former sheriff's deputy, highway patrolman, Homeland Security air marshal, and he lives in the Ozarks, and we can't use his name because he tells some crazy law enforcement stories from back in the day, but he's not a paranormal believer, but he's one of the funniest, best storytellers, and we have a lot of fun on that show. And some people, it's weird, we have fun on the paranormal show, but some people hate the midweek howl because they don't like our humor. But then it's weird. It's like we have a separate audience for both. But
well, that's okay. At least you got the audience for it. That's awesome. There's a little something for everybody, right? Yeah. Shane, thank you so much for being here. This has been awesome. You are so fun to talk to, and I'm so sorry we ran out of time.
That's okay. I can start doing research on the pod babies and figure out what that's all about.
Well, I would love for you to. Let's talk about it. Actually, do it on your show too. We need more information about this out there. So let's collaborate again. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. I appreciate you giving me a chance to come on and hang out.
Well, heck yeah. Welcome to Space Out Radio. I'm going to have you back on ASAP.
All right.
Okay. Awesome. All right, Shane. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya. Oh, sorry. Okay. You guys, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Shane. Okay. Don't forget, right after this show, you guys can join After Hours. They have an incredible show set up for us for the next 3 hours. I'll see y'all next week on Off the Trails. But for now, I'm the Cryptid Huntress. I'm headed off the trail. I will see you guys next week. I hope y'all have a wonderful week, and I'll see y'all soon. Bye.